You're already rolling.
So you got green.
Yep,
What
I
color
got
green
some.
is that?
Oh, this is processed green.
Ah, okay.
I didn't want to do something too dark or too loud because on this aluminum, after the light hits it, one's going to show up more than the other. So I got something that complemented each other.
Now, are you using the same brush you were just using? You just cleaned it out?
Yeah, I just cleaned it out in the same brush. And then I just want to more or less just highlight this piece right here some.
So you got like an idea in your head already? Or are you just going to be like, I'm going to start here and we'll see what happens?
Yeah, start here and see what happens.
All right.
I'm going to more or less just, I'm going to leave this since it's a pretty intense, and I'm just going to border it and frame it out with this other color. And then I'll go around the edge with it too.
Alrighty.
But,
all right, I'm going to go up there and zoom the camera in on you.
Okay. So I still do the palette and wiggle a little bit to the side and clean off the excess. And then I'll start in this little corner. I should, let's see, let's rearrange this a little bit. I'll get it to where I get more light because my hand was putting a shadow on me. And I was sort of, when I was doing it the first time, I was sort of in the dark there. So I want to just frame this in a little bit. So I'll go in and out of the blue just a tad here and there, but I'll try to stay on the outer limits of it.
Good TV show, The Outer Limits.
Yeah. Still watch that?
Netflix. Like I'm watching how you're placing your pinky too, so it's...
Yeah, and then if you do get, sometimes you get a little paint on there, or if it gets a little sticky, I just rub it right on my Levi's there and it gives a little sheen and gets rid of any moisture or sweat or anything I have on my hands at all. And that's why I let it set up a little bit so I don't get so much of that. And then also with just using the pinky, I could stretch out and work that whole line without having to put another hand there or use my elbows.
So now,
and all that
did somebody
stuff.
teach you this technique, or you were just like, I'm going to be a pinstriper, and you started doing it?
Right. I didn't have no teachers. Everything I've done is all self-taught. Back in when I started, it wasn't like nowadays where everyone's free to help you out. They was like, kid, get out of here. You might learn something, because they was afraid I was going to take their work from them.
Yeah, nobody wanted competition.
No, not at all. So you couldn't get help. And then now you got guys like me and others that want to help you out, and then they take sort of advantage of it. So you just got to watch, make sure you know who you're playing with to teach, make sure they're doing it for the right reasons that you want, you know, to be able to use your time up with.
I do like your brush control. It's very interesting.
Yeah, and then these little marks, and I'd find out where this little line in here, where I could stop and where I need to. And got a little thin on me there.
So you said that for the one color and for the length of time it took you, you would have gotten $40 for that panel.
Yeah.
So would you get like $80 for it now that you're adding a second color?
Second color, I'd probably throw another $20 on it because I didn't have to work so hard on the design or nothing. The design is there.
So $60, $75 would be good?
Yeah, if you can get that. Depends on where you are. If you're on the east or west coast, you can get a lot more for your striping than you can here in the mid coast.
I guess your name maintains your value also. Like if you've been doing it for a while, you've built up a clientele base, more people know about you.
Well, yeah, and then, well, see, the point of making better money is because I do it a lot faster. I mean, a beginner might take them an hour or so, and they overthink things. Hell, I'm not thinking at all here.
Well, that comes back to, you know, just practice. Well,
Right.
it's like second nature for you. Like when you say you're not thinking, it's just second nature.
Right.
You know, I have to think about, you're just banging this out. I'd have to really think about what I'm going to do. and where I'm going to put lines.
Right, and then I just, after doing so many, heck, if I don't like this, then I'll paint another one, you know? But, and then to do the edge, I'm going to scoot this off to the side and then hold it so it won't move. And then I can come in here and put this outer line to frame this baby in.
You see, I got a good view of that pinky right in the edge now to give you that width. That's excellent.
And it's all pinky control. I mean, I ain't gonna wear no, if I put a glove on there, I can't feel what I need to know where I'm gotta go.
Right, well, this is you know, like how you've taught yourself, so it's the right way for you.
Right.
But you know, somebody else may have a hard time doing it like everyone else, and they may see how you do it, and they're like, oh, and then the light goes off, and they're like, that's my shtick. That's what I'm gonna do now.
Right. Or even with having, you know, using the other hand for balance, this pinky should be, to me, makes all my balance. So that's how I keep it in line myself. Then this end, I'll cross over to here, and then I'll grab this end and cross it over to here. And just like Fritz would say, there you go.
Yep.
You got your little panel. And then, I'm going to do my chair. Here, we'll do it. Now, another little trick is they got all kinds of little highliners and signature brushes in this.
Oh, I'm going to have to zoom in on you. Where are you going to sign your name?
Right here.
All right, let me get
But
over
what
there.
I do...
Get right on top of you so I can see you do this.
Okay. Now, I gotta get that little line.
So, but wait a minute. Is that the top or the bottom?
I don't care.
Ah.
There we go. Now, I stripe like this, but if I turn that brush over, and then the belly's on the top.
Upside down?
Yeah. Oops. Then I could use it as a brush, a little signature
Look at
brush.
that.
And you can write pretty small. There's 2018 right there.
That's pretty cool.
And then that's just flipping your brush over. Usually when you're striping, the belly's on the bottom. Flip it over and the belly on the top. Then you could use that.
And
Just a
use
little
it upside
tip.
down.
I never, even with pinstriping, I've seen some videos. I just use the tip of the brush. The rest of this is to hold the paint to run out. That's why they have a belly on a brush. But I just use the tip. Now I've seen some stripers that, and then they cut the belly out and they have these little skinny mini brushes like this. Well, there's a couple like this, but
You gotta stop pulling the brush away. I can't see it.
sorry. But you know, a little skinny one, I got a lot more meat on it. This has no belly on it. But if you cut all the hairs off, then you can just lay the thing down and just
Like a
pull
white
it.
stripe, yeah.
Well, you do that with even the skinny brushes because they took my whole belly out. But even with a number 2 or a 3 pinstriping brush, the big fat ones, if you just use the tip of the brush, the belly is to hold the paint to make it flow. And look, I haven't reloaded yet. Because I got all that paint in that belly that's holding it to make it keep coming out. If you cut the belly out of the brush and just lay it down, you could be done, but it's not more as a fact. It's okay if you do a panel, but if you're walking down the side of a car, man, you're going to be palleting and
Now,
palleting and palleting.
That's something that one of the questions is going to be when you're doing a long line and you have to stop to repallet, how do you pick up and go back into the line and keep going?
Oh,
Could you show us that on like,
yeah.
you know, why don't you grab the other silver panel and we can see on that.
Okay. Lay this over here. Now, if you're doing a long line, and then let's see, I can get a piece of tape here. Now, doing a guideline with a piece of tape.
This is like if you're going to do the side of a car, that straight line, the thick and thin lines.
Right. And then that's the same thing using this pinky to be able to know where you're supposed to go.
So you're using that tape as a guide for your pinky.
Yep. And then I had to stop, right? So what I do is I come back up here, and then I get my pressure, my weight, and the thickness of the line, and then I come back, and then I can pick it up, and it looks like I didn't do it.
Okay, I'm going to move my camera. Can you do another line next to that?
Yeah.
And I'll try and follow along the best I can from over here on the Outer Banks. Go ahead.
Ready?
Yep, go ahead. Go slow. And so there's that line. And you're going to stop, and you have to go pick it up now.
Now I come back here and give me a little room to get my right pressure to know where I'm going to finish that baby up.
That's cool. Now let's go back. You can't even tell.
But then you got to give yourself a little bit of room, you know. Just if you come here, don't start here and go. Come back up here and then get your thickness.
So you go back into it like 2 or 4 inches.
Yeah, cut an inch or so.
And that again is just practice, because then you start small, I guess, and until you get it to the same width, and then you take off and keep running.
Because well, if you get it and then you got the wrong pressure, it's a fatter, it's skinnier, it's fatter. That's putting pressure on it there. So you got to find out.
Well, that's a new style stripe line right there.
Okay, and then
and you said you were going to show us how to do some scrolling.
yeah,
That's something that some of the other guys have done, and it still is something I'm not a scroller.
well, when
I got to practice.
When I started scrolling, it was more or less on signs and the little ornamental stuff bordering your signs, you know,
Right.
and that. But
And how are you going to clean off the aluminum
oh,
to use it again? You're just going to wipe it off? You're going to use chemical or? There you go. All right.
that works.
But I got a tip for everybody at home. How would you wipe it off?
Oh, I just get the.
Now that you've smudged it all over the place like the top of a Hostess cupcake.
See, that's the thing about the lacquer too. It dries.
That's dried up. Yeah, it didn't smudge. You're right. Look at that.
No, it's.
Well, lacquer does evaporate quickly.
Right.
So that's lacquer thinner in the bottle?
Yep.
Okay, and you're just going to give it a wipe down.
Yeah. And as long as you try to do it one consistent line instead of rink, 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 you won't. It'll all stay right there on your in your rag, and then you're pretty good. Because even when you're doing a car, you don't want to keep running it. You might eat up that clear coat, or it might be an enamel paint job, and you screwed it up. And then if you're doing flat blacks instead of, they have my pencils I use are Stabilos or Omnicrons. And it's like a wax pencil.
Yeah.
And then a little bit of water, she comes off.
Well, do it again. Now I got to zoom in. Let me see the pencil first. Hold it like that.
Stabilo.
Okay.
And then these are...
What was that Omni thing?
Omnicron.
Is that
it's
a
the same
style?
as a Stabilo,
Okay.
just a different name. So
All
like
right.
One Shot, Ronan, you know, whatever, different brands. And if you're doing it with doing like a flat black rat rod car, then I go to the store and I buy me sidewalk chalk. I put a little tape on it because they like to bust, and then you can mark on that, you know, the flat black or whatever you got, and then it'll wipe off. You use to try to get a registration line or lay out some lettering with one of these, it'll never come out of the
So it kind of
satin black.
like a primer job.
Yeah.
See, I never would have thought about using chalk
So,
like that.
yeah, don't use that. You got to use, I usually get that, and then if it gets a little bit of waxed junk on the end, then I can just go right to my pants and
Okay,
clean it
gotcha.
up, and then I can make me marks.
Huh. See?
Okay.
Something new I learned again.
Now, they got, I haven't cleaned much of these out, but I like the old Bobos. And then they got the long bob, and Bobo Dunn made these, and then now they got Bobos I need to get in. You got the Wizards here. It's a Black Widow. But they're highlighters, and I like the little short handle, but I'm going to show you also with the lettering quill. This is how I used to do it in the old days as a sign painter. But they come out with these.
Let me see the lettering quill, and that's nothing. It doesn't say anything on it.
No, this is a number 10 lettering quill here.
But I know we've showed you the brushes before, but you can see how that's wide. It's about a 1/4 inch or so.
Here's one I'm going to show you with.
And then there's this. That's the lettering quill to number 1.
No, that's a number 10.
This is a number 10?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you can see how Shane has had his brushes for so long, everything's wore off.
Yeah, sort of like me. Okay. Now there's a trick to the scrolling.
And you're going to palette your scrolling brush the same way as your striping brush.
Yeah,
Look at that.
same way. And then I wiggle a little bit, give me a good mixture in there. And she's going to be loaded. See that little baby? She's loaded. Nope, well, a few little drops here, but we won't tell anybody. Okay, so when you're a striper, you're used to a 45-degree angle. Well, with scrolling, that's out of the ballpark. With the scrolling,
I'm going to move over here quick so I can see the side of your hand when you do this.
the scrolling, you got to keep this straight up and down, okay? And you can push, make it fat. And then I'm not twisting this brush at all. The brush is doing its own gig.
All right, you do that. I'm going to have you do it again without the shadow on your hand.
Oh.
That's all right, but that's pretty
And then
intense.
push down and boom. Here, I'll have to turn this
All right, leave the
way.
table there for a sec, 'cause I want to zoom in on that. You see how quick he just knocked that out, gang?
But you got to keep this straight up and down. Once you get it in an angle, and then see how it wants to flip away,
Right?
you know, you can't
You got to control the brush.
see how it's losing it because I got it in an angle.
Right?
So I got it straight up and down. Then you can play with this all day long.
Man, I suck at this.
And then push down and lift up for a tail at the end.
It almost looks like how the veiling gun, like on the Druid Princess fenders, looks.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And then let me wipe this off real quick. And now I'm going to show you the same thing with a number 10 lettering quill. And then if you're doing a big sign or a bigger project, go get you a fatter lettering quill. You're all good.
So the stripe is proportionate to the canvas, so to speak.
Yeah. The fatter, you know, you can't do little skinny lines on a big ass 4x8 sign and expect them to see it.
Right.
So this is another thing about just using these brushes. Yes, they have long hairs. You don't use the whole brush. You're using the tip of the brush. And we're going to show you that and prove it right now. And then, see how big this brush is? She's a big brush. And she fans out wide. Here's how wide she fans out. See that? Now that's a big brush. But as long as you use just the tip of this brush, here we go again. And I'm sitting down, I'm not even standing up on this.
That's pretty interesting.
Push down, lift up, tail. And that's a big old lettering quill. That's how I used to do it in the old days.
All right. Now, hold off. I want to show everybody how that looks close up.
And then,
So you keep moving it. Oh, you're not used to being filmed, man.
yeah, sorry.
Give me 1 sec. I'm trying to pan slow across it.
Okay.
And that's pretty cool. All right, now I pulled away. Widescreen shot. Now go ahead.
Now, instead of just doing it with my pinky to where I can get into it, another thing, they have what they used to call a maul stick, and it was a stick with a little bit of felt on the end. I don't use maul sticks, I use my hand. And then I can sit right up here and perch my hand right on my arm and do the same thing. Oh, I'm getting the shadows. Sorry. I'll turn.
But you know what? Why don't you grab that yardstick and show everybody how a maul stick would be used?
Okay.
Just like as a for instance.
Let's flip this over.
That kills me. You do it with wet paint. But go ahead, man.
And then, if this, well,
if that was a round stick, it'd be a maul stick.
I got one right behind you. It's a square one.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
All right, the cameraman is helping. There you go.
There you go. Attaboy, cameraman. And then a maul stick, that'd be, you'd have it here.
And so you can keep your hands out of the wet paint
Right.
off the canvas. Do me another one. It's like I've never seen it done with the quill before like that.
Oh, really? Yeah.
You don't have to. Yeah, use the maul stick because it's not giving as much of a shadow as your arm did.
And we'll come in here. Push down, lift up, there's your tail.
Ah, it's impressive, man.
But you just keep it straight up down and see, you notice I'm not choked up here, swinging my arm all over the damn place. I'm back here now, I'm just using just my fingertips.
Yeah.
You know? Just the fingertips. Oh, I got a little bit slacky there.
Well, that's why you got to practice.
But it can be done with anything that's like a highliner or a lettering quill. This one would have made it a lot nicer and smaller, and I could have matched what I did on the other side. With this, with that little teeny Bobo brush or the little, you know, the highlighter brush.
Right.
And, yeah. But this one, she fans out pretty good. With one of my lettering quills. But that's how to practice with your scrolls.
All right. That's great. So let me move this back. And right now, I guess I'll show everybody this panel. And Shane signed it over here. So I guess that makes that the bottom. And there you go. That's that finished piece right there. And it took him seconds, and that's like 60, 75 bucks. I shouldn't say seconds. Let's say that took 20 minutes. That's not too shabby. So you're making about as much money as a head shrinker or a tattoo artist, time-wise, per minute when you do a piece of art like this. And what we'll do now is we're going to, I guess we'll have a bathroom break, us guys. And we'll come back and we'll do the 20 questions, you know, from our home office in Columbus, Ohio. And then that's that. So that's it. We'll be back in just a couple seconds.